Hey, soul survivors, I'm going to do some front loading on what we're going to be talking about because I had a viewer who had said that he would want to unalive or thought about unaliving himself, and he got really deep into it, decided not to do it because of his animals. So, in today's video, I am not going to talk about actual stories of suicide, but the feeling of thinking about it. And if we continue to think about it, what could happen and why we need to take control of our thoughts. I am certified to teach psychology. I am also a certified life coach. I am not a therapist. I can help if you're willing to have the help. But when it gets that bad that we're starting to think about that, it might be time to find a therapist or to understand what these triggers are. And when we start talking that way, there's a reason for it. I believe he was low on attention, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And sometimes we need that connection, or we need that dopamine hit, or it's bringing up traumas from something somewhere along the way where we felt we weren't loved, accepted, things like that. So sometimes little things can set off something that's deep rooted. Sometimes we suppress our emotions. We just kind of keep it surface level. Other times it goes deeper in repression. And that's sometimes when you go into an automatic mode where you don't really realize what's going on. And the reason I want to bring this up is, seeing that portion of time where he doesn't remember saying to the other person in chat, it kind of got out of hand a little bit, so I had to shut it down. But he had said, I'm not going to be your Facebook friend anymore, or friend. And so she reacted. And so he doesn't remember what he said. And, also, he was reaching out almost kind of panicky in a sense, where uh, a lot of messages to me, which I understand, guys, but email and Facebook and YouTube. And he has another friend in this group where he was really reaching out to her. And it was like 11 and a half hours had gone by. So she lives in 3 hours away from here, and it was 12 hours. So I was on the phone for about an hour, went to bed, got my 8 hours, had to take a shower because I had lunch plans. And within 12 hours, I had like 2 hours of doing some videos and helping jumpstart my neighbor's car and things like that. But he wanted instant, like, you got to get back to me. And he had thought about suicide, and he was scared I was going to shut down the channel. I just was kind of shutting down the chat. I want a safe place for everybody. And that sometimes there are misunderstandings, but when we have that seed in our head, we can choose to water it, or we can choose to starve it in a sense. Now, there are other things like how quickly his moods change from, hey, life is great, and then all of a sudden thinking about, unaliving himself that quickly. Like, it's a different if, a long term and progresses, but when it's like, boom, I don't know, give it an hour's thought. That's a big decision. Don't do it, but it's a big decision to make like that. And there's more deep-seated things that are going on, because this isn't the first time that he's had. I've known him about a year, and it's been more than once. And is he reaching out for attention? Or is it he's scared, that he is going to do it? He's, the impulse control of, I got to text, I got to text, I got to text. Where were you? And are you okay? And we're worried about you. And I get it if it was, more than 12 hours with sleep time in between, that, there is NAMI, Nami. It's kind of similar to me, helping you through the hard times. I do have one-on-ones available to go deeper into the situation, but sometimes in that triggered state, because I even told him, you did say that to her. And he's like, no, I didn't. That um, we can be living in an altered reality, whether it's because of depression or anxiety. Maybe we are a narcissist or borderline bipolar, things like that, that we might not realize because it's so repressed. That everybody has different thoughts on what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable. Sometimes we don't realize, and I had one viewer who was uh, like, what was it exactly that he did? But to counteract it, I told him it's just like me. I would always knock at your door. I wouldn't just, open the door. Hey, I'm here. That's just how I was raised. And he was saying something about his friend, how he didn't understand that boundary. And I'm like, that's just her boundary. Because I would prefer if you knock at my door instead of just opening it, because that's kind of startles me. So getting along in society, everything can be like, what did I do wrong? But he was like concerned about our friendship and don't give up. And it, you know, there's more to it sometimes, that it's not just loneliness. Because if you're lonely, there's things we can do. We can call our friend, or we have to be able to be content within ourselves. And we have to proactively take steps to counterbalance the things that we are struggling with. So if you're going to be lonely and sitting in your place constantly without getting out, that you're going to stay lonely and you're bringing yourself down that depression. Now, sometimes the people we hang out with can cause depression, whether it's jealousy or we feel neglected in that group. There's a lot of religious places that you can go. Hopefully you can connect with people there. So some people are like, I don't have anybody to hang out with. That is a group of people you can hang out with, or find activities, join a baseball or bowling league. That we have to realize what's going on within us. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to make it worse. And we have to realize we are worth the effort. So there's a lot of people who care about you if you are struggling with this, feeling like it's hopeless. And I know a lot of people who, whether it's personally or through stories, that they were so glad that they stuck it out. And life is difficult because sometimes we do feel helpless. But our lives are, a lot of it, choices that we've made. Our broken marriages, if we get into the statistics of living together before, or premarital sex and all I'm not trying to be all religious on it, but there's some truth to it. And also society is changing with gender roles and the things that we want, and masculine and feminine energy. And we're kind of messing things up as far as who is what, how do we get along, who's dominant, how do we become equals, but we want different things. So when you're in a trauma state, the triggers are coming more and more and more. There could be chemical imbalances. There could be other issues. Maybe it could be health related, or, the red dye, all these different things that maybe seeking medical attention will save your life. So if you had cancer or a pending heart attack, you would get medical care. Sometimes we need the medical care for our brains. And if it's not getting better, show yourself that self-love to get the help that you need. Because nobody deserves to get that sad that in an instant you think about resorting to that. So I believe at this point for him, it's kind of a mix, kind of like I'm fed up with this stuff. And the coping mechanisms that he has had haven't been working. And he's missing a connection, like a true connection. But we have to be able to live alone. We have to be able to be at peace. And when things aren't working, we're going to have our ups and downs. But when they're starting to pendulum like that if you can make those impulsive decisions or saying, screw it, I don't know, do this drug, or, just get blast, they just, people don't make the best decisions when there's alcohol or drugs involved. So hopefully for him, he's not doing that. Alcohol changes your brain. So do drugs. That we got to realize that we're in a unstable state. So when you add drugs or alcohol, it's going to increase the instability. And, even going to AA, the 12-step program, even just for your mental health, to understand the steps that need to be taken to overcome our addictions, our insecurities, our feelings of worthlessness. And self-talk helps when it's positive. And self-talk will destroy you if it's in the negative. And our brains tend to go negative. So it's a struggle. So I just wanted to address this because this is a pattern for this person. That's a lot of times in 1 year to think that. And also the reason behind it, he's the one that cut off the relationship. The situation didn't deal with him. And I know he really cares about me. So might have been that support thing, but he hurt her in his decision to end the relationship. But then he was like, I don't get it. She's got me blocked on Facebook. And it's like, well, you told her you didn't want to be friends. He also didn't remember that. But, be cautious with the alcohol and drugs. That what takes precedence right now? We can say, yeah, a little alcohol, does it hurt? Depends on who you are and how you can handle it. And is it necessary? Is it necessary? So I'm not saying you should or shouldn't drink, but in a unstable situation, if you can give yourself every little leg up. Because when people start doing drugs or alcohol, it can become addictive. And it's also trying to soothe or mask other things that are missing. Maybe it's even just to fit in, that little social drink, or a nervousness, or just wanting to wind down because you're not handling the stress at work or with the family, that it goes deep. So his situation, I'd like to help one-on-ones, but and I'm willing to do that, but there comes a time when you're thinking about unaliving yourself that you realize how special you are, and you go to the expert. I can bake you a birthday cake. It's not going to be the best birthday cake because I have limited knowledge on how to make something. So as an analogy, when it comes to your life, I'm here to help, to supplement, but there are steps that you need to take. And don't risk your life by putting that off. I hope that was helpful. And, you know, it's a decision hopefully none of us ever feel the need to contemplate. But a life is precious. And it's not a 2-minute decision. And hopefully, if you can understand what the triggers are, understand where it's coming from, and deal with that issue, but don't feed that seed because it will grow. It will grow, and I don't want that for you. Hope that was helpful, and please share if this will help somebody.